The Valiant Little Tailor. One summer's morning, a little tailor was sitting at his table by the window. He was in good spirits and sewed with all his might. Then came a peasant woman down the street, crying, "Good jams, cheap! Good jams, cheap!" This rang pleasantly in the tailor's ears. He stretched his gentle head out of the window and called,
"Come over here, dear woman. I'll buy a jar. Now this jam will give me health and strength,"
cried the little tailor. So he brought the bread out of the cupboard, cut himself a piece right across the loaf, and spread the jam over it.
"Now let me just finish this jacket before I take a bite,"
he said as he laid the bread near him and sewed the jacket. In the meantime, the smell of the sweet jam attracted some flies.
"Hey, who invited you?"
said the little tailor while he attempted to drive the unbidden guests away. The flies came back again in a bigger number. The little tailor at last lost all patience and drew a piece of cloth from the hole under his work table, and saying, "I will get you," struck them mercilessly. When he drew the cloth away and counted, there lay before him 7 flies, dead with legs stretched out. The tailor looked at the flies that he had killed and could not help admiring his own bravery.
"The whole town shall know of this,"
he said, and the little tailor hastened to cut himself a belt, stitched it, and embroidered on it in large letters, "7 dead at one stroke."
"Now the whole world shall hear of this," he exclaimed.
The tailor put on the belt and decided to go on an adventure to show off his bravery. Before he went away, he looked around the house to see if there was anything that he could take with him. However, he found nothing but an old cheese which he put in his pocket. In front of the door, there was a small bird, so he decided to also take the bird in his pocket. Then he hit the road, which led him up a mountain. When he had reached the highest point of it, he saw a powerful giant looking at him. The giant had been haunting the village for years. The little tailor bravely said,
"Good day, comrade. How are you?"
The giant looked contemptuously at the tailor and said,
"How dare you talk to me, you miserable creature?"
The little tailor unbuttoned his coat and showed the giant the belt.
"There may you read what kind of a man I am,"
the tailor said. The giant read,
"7 dead at one stroke,"
and thought that they had been giants whom the tailor had killed, and he began to feel a little fear for the tiny fellow. He decided to try him first. The giant took a stone in his hand and squeezed it tightly so that only little pieces of it remained.
"Do you have the strength to do that, little man?"
asked the giant.
"Is that the best you can do?"
asked the tailor.
"That is child's play."
He put his hand into his pocket, brought out the soft cheese, and pressed it until the liquid ran out of it. The giant saw that well and thought the tailor had just turned a stone into water. Then the giant picked up a stone and threw it so far that the eye could scarcely follow it.
"Now, little man, do that." "Well thrown," said the tailor. "Now, see this."
The tailor put his hand into his pocket, took out the bird, and threw it into the air. The bird, delighted with its liberty, rose, flew away, and did not come back. The giant was impressed.
"You can certainly throw," he said. "But now we will see if you are able to carry a tree."
He took the little tailor to a mighty oak tree, which lay there felled on the ground, and said,
"If you are strong enough, help me to carry the trunk out of the forest." "Let's do it," answered the little man. "You take the trunk on your shoulders, and I will raise up the branches and twigs. After all, they are the heaviest."
The giant took the trunk on his shoulder, but the tailor just sat on a branch, and the giant, who could not look around, carried away the whole tree, while the little tailor relaxed and whistled. The giant said,
"If you are such a brave fellow, come with me into my cave and spend the night."
The little tailor was willing and followed him. When they went into the cave, other giants were sitting there by the fire, and each of them had a roasted sheep in his hand and was eating it. The little tailor looked round and thought, "It is much more spacious here than in my workshop." The giant showed him a bed and said he was to lie down in it and sleep. The bed, however, was too big for the little tailor. He did not lie down in it, but crept into a corner. When it was midnight, and the giant thought that the little tailor was sound asleep, he got up, took a great iron bar, cut through the bed with one blow, and thought he had finished off the grasshopper of a man for good. Then he went down to pillage the village. While the villagers were running away, fearing the giant, suddenly the little tailor showed up, screaming, "I will destroy you, you miserable giant!" The giant thought the little tailor was immortal and ran away terrified, never to be seen again. As for the little tailor, he was forever admired in the village for his great bravery. The end.